Hello, I'm Jamila Musayeva, an international etiquette consultant and author of etiquette books and pre-recorded online courses. In today's video, I'll be talking about 10 ways of how to become more demure. But before I get started, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is a brand called HELAS that was founded in Melbourne, Australia in 2014, and it specializes in saltwater pearl jewelry. The pieces that I'm wearing are made of Akoya saltwater pearl and mother of pearl. Saltwater pearls are very rare, and Akoya pearls account to only 5% of freshwater pearls. For this video, I'm wearing a necklace from a Star Trail collection with Akoya saltwater pearl and 18K solid gold with hand-picked pearls. I love how simple and sophisticated it looks, and it can be worn as a necklace and a bracelet, also like a choker, or you can double layer it with another beautiful necklace from HELAS. I have paired them with Akoya saltwater pearl studs with 18K solid gold. I think you can never go wrong with beautiful pearl studs that are matching and looking fabulous with this beautiful pearl necklace. HELAS has also gifted me with this beautiful butterfly mother of pearl necklace with diamond, and a necklace from a wave collection that I have paired with pearl studs with diamonds. Use my code JAMILA20 for 20% off on your purchase from beautiful HELAS jewelry. So the very first way to become more demure is to adopt this life attitude, less is more. In particular, when you're thinking about wardrobe, dressing up, makeup, accessorize, everything that is surrounding you. Less is more is not just about not wearing a lot or being minimalistic, but it's about being intentional in your choices, not just going on a spree, not indulging, but rather being selective in what you put on yourself, what you apply on yourself, how you present yourself to the world. Going back to the choices that you're making. To become more demure, your choices have to be intentional. They have to work with your personal style, with your lifestyle, with the way you want to present yourself to the world, with the way that is most suitable and flattering to you. We all have very different body types. We all have different things that are good about our body. There are things that we want to work on. Same goes with our face, same goes to our hair and everything about us, our physical appearance. So you have to make a choice. What is the thing that I want to highlight? What are the things that I might want to cover? And though demure is often considered something that goes along with the word of modesty, I believe that with fashion, with changes in society and norms, the understanding of modesty has really changed over the years. So if something looks good on you, despite of the old books that say, you can never wear a skirt that's above your knee length, and that's considered a no-no, that's not considered elegant, it is not applicable or relevant in today's world, where fashion and societal norms have evolved so much so that doing so is not considered something that would in any way damage your reputation. Just to give you an example, not wearing corsets at one point in history was considered something that would show that you're not being modest, that shows that you have a poor reputation. You cannot see a woman today that is wearing a corset, and that is right, because today's world is reflecting the rules and norm of the society we live in today. So I'm someone who always tries breaking the stereotypes when it comes about elegance and it comes about etiquette, because oftentimes people perceive that if you only dress a certain way, you can be considered elegant. My attitude is that you can look elegant regardless of what, people or the norms or the rules of the etiquette old books were saying you have to wear in order to look elegant. However, it has to be fitting to your lifestyle, it has to be fitting to your body frame, it has to be fitting to your overall appearance. So something that could look extremely vulgar on someone who has bigger breasts might look completely fine on someone who has smaller breasts. Same goes with the skirt lengths, same goes with the color choices. So you really have to be mindful when you're dressing up and make those choices and adapt them to your own lifestyle as well as to your own personality. Don't just follow radically something that has been said. Always learn to pick things from the information that you're consuming. Again, this applies to less is more, not just about your wardrobe, but also to the information that you are consuming. And that will be reflected in the way that you show up to the world. When you have made the intentional choice to dress up a certain way. You have chosen a certain dress to highlight. You've chosen a certain pair of earrings to highlight them, rather than you just bombard yourself with jewelry like a Christmas tree. Obviously, your energy and the kind of presence that you have in the room will be more calm and more poised. This brings me actually to the second point, which is related with the first point, but I want to draw more attention to this, and that is be aware about your self-decoration, and that includes your makeup, your hairstyle, the accessories you choose to put on yourself on an everyday basis. When I'm on Instagram, I see so many videos of people, stacking up jewelry, doing all these kind of like really crazy makeup styles and tutorials. And sometimes when I look at them, I think to myself, and I wonder if you have the same feeling, that I loved the makeup right in between in the process, or I like the makeup when they were just starting, and the end result is already not something I would want to look at anymore. I'd prefer if they were to stop, 3-4 steps prior to that. I feel the same way when I'm looking at jewelry and I'm thinking, I wish they only just highlighted this one necklace. I really wish they only wore this one bracelet, and I would have more admiration to that simplicity, to that almost like a staple, almost like an exclamation point. I think that really applies to a lot of things in our life. When we are writing something and we're using a lot of exclamation marks, those exclamation marks no longer make that impression, rather than if we were only to use a point everywhere that we write, and then only on one sentence would use one exclamation mark. That would draw the attention of the reader, because we have not been using that a lot, and we make a conscious choice of where to put it, rather than stack it up, and then all these sentences already don't give me that much excitement when I'm reading through it. So I think being mindful and being aware of your self-decoration is very important. Our styles are very different. Everyone can embrace their personal style. I'm not an advocate for looking a certain way, or looking like I am, or looking like someone that you admire. I just think you have to find something that works great for you, but you have to be mindful that you are not a Christmas tree. You're not something that you're not a display of products. You are a person, and those products are serving you, and not the other way around. So when you adopt this attitude, you really change the way that you decorate yourself and you put yourself out in the world. Going along with the physical appearance, one of the most important things when it comes to being more demure is understanding that your body posture will speak volumes about how you feel from the inside. You don't have to be noisy, you don't have to be in the center of attention, you don't have to be loud to draw attention to yourself. Your body language will do that for you. No matter what you wear, and no matter how fancy your clothes is, if your body language does not exude this confidence from the inside, nothing will make you look or feel confident. Of course, sometimes when we look our best, we feel that confidence, and that gets translated in our body language. But sometimes we have to make our body feel confident, and then that will be translated into overall aura or energy of confidence. So your body posture is something that you can work on. So even if it is something that you have to be mindful of the whole time, when you train yourself into this right body posture, over time it will become a habit. And even when you stop thinking about, am I standing right, your body will be doing that for you. So in order to have a good posture, there are a couple of videos I've done on YouTube. You can check those out about how to have a good posture, certain exercise that you practice at home. But again, the first step to having the right posture is being self-aware, is being very mindful of your body posture, especially when you're out and about in public. Of course, there are some days when I slouch on the couch, I'm just like easy. I don't want to sit upright, I'm not feeling that well. I'm just at home, super relaxed. We all have those moments. But as soon as I step out to the world, when I step out on an auditorium to give a lecture, or if I'm doing my workshop, I'm always aware of my posture, because that is the way I tell the world that I feel comfortable and confident around you. Now, this brings me to the fourth point, which is again related with a good posture, and that is being intentional in your gestures. Overall, being demure comes with being mindful, and being mindful brings intention. So intention is very important when you make the choice of what you're going to wear, when you make the choice of how you're going to hold yourself, when you make your choice of how you're going to gesture or how you're going to react to a certain thing around you. Gesturing is something that we intentionally do to elevate our message, our verbal message. So we use these hand gestures or we use these body gestures to show or to synchronize with what we are telling verbally. Sometimes, in fact, these hand gestures can help the listener better understand you. You know, we all have a certain span of attention, and the verbal messages that we are hearing are sometimes, you know, passing through our minds when we're not very mindful or when we're not paying attention. They can pass through us. But then the hand gestures are the ones that we are seeing, and they're getting registered in our minds. So oftentimes these two, the hand gestures together with what we're saying, is helping the listener to better understand what we're trying to say, even though they might not be fully paying attention to our verbal message. Again, the use of hand gestures can vary from culture to culture. Certain cultures love to gesture a lot. So I come from a culture that really embraces that, and you'll see a lot of people gesturing with their hands when they're talking. Other countries or other cultures are more reserved in the way they use their body language. But whatever it is that is your norm of gesturing, make sure that you are intentional with the gestures that you use. When your gestures are aligned with the things that you're saying, your gestures will never be perceived as being too loud or not looking elegant. So having discussed our appearance, our body language, our gestures, it's also important now to talk about something that's a huge component of our body language, and that is our voice. So the tone, the pitch, the volume of our voice. I often get asked to do a video on how to speak more softly. I've done a video on that on my YouTube channel. You can check it out. But here I want to raise a point about why speaking softly is important, especially when you want to be more demure. It's because demure is about being calm, having this poise or having this grace. And we rarely perceive someone who is loud as being poised or having this grace. When I talk about speaking softly, it's not necessarily that you're whispering, though some people have said that it looks like I'm whispering, which is not. This is my regular voice that I speak on camera and off camera. So if you ever hear me outside, you'll hear the same voice. This is something that I think is trained and practiced. I don't remember myself speaking any other way, but I think the reason I'm talking this way is because I've always surrounded myself in a very calm environment. So if I were to study in my room, it was always very quiet. When I were to speak with my parents or at home, it was always at a very soft or quiet volumes. So I think it's about training your ear to speak in a lower tone than you would usually do. So if you're someone who speaks at very high volumes, are used to that, maybe because of the way you were brought up, you know, you're in a family of a lot of people, there is always TV running, there are a lot of people. So for you to be heard, you really had to speak very loud. That could be also something that the nurture is doing rather than the nature. So if you are being mindful of the way you talk, of the way that you project your voice, then you can work on bringing it down. So for you to practice perhaps speaking softly is register yourself speaking on camera, or, you know, maybe you can film yourself throughout the whole day and see how you're talking, you know, when you are, or just ask someone to guide you on your speech volume. Perhaps you have a friend or a sibling that can tell you, okay, now you're being very loud, now your volume is really up. So you have to have someone who's accountable, who can tell you, okay, now this is too much. If you don't have anyone, again, you can use your phones to register your volume, and then you can trace what is it that triggers you to speak up or to increase your voice the volume, or to increase the pitch of your voice. What is it that makes you change your tone? So when you find things that are triggering you, then you can work and be mindful in things that are, and then consciously bring it down. I actually had the other issue because I speak very softly. It was very difficult for me to project my voice in an upper volume, and the reason for that was actually something that I couldn't work on because of the structure of my vocal cords. So when I was in US doing my studies in international relations, I had this speech and diction class where I was the only person that failed the class because I couldn't, failed that part of the class, not the class. I did well, I got an A on that, but I failed the test to actually speak loudly. So there was this voice and speech center at GW, where I had to go to these classes for half of the semester, where they would massage my vocal cords. They would take me to loud environments and ask me to project my voice. It was very hard for me because, again, of the restrictions of my vocal cords, but again, I was able to attain slightly higher volume than I would if I were not to do these classes. So again, you can always consult a doctor to see if your vocal cords, are designed in a way that make you speak very loudly. But other than that, it's much easier to bring the volume down than to bring it up because we have restrictions of vocal cords. So something that I would encourage to do is to definitely keep a track of it, or maybe journal it, or a diary of self-reflection and self-awareness, and learning to bring your volume down when you feel like you are speaking too loudly in an environment that doesn't require that. Speaking of the voice, this takes me to the next point, and that is being mindful, aware of what you are saying. So not only how you're saying, but what you're saying. So being, again, intentional in the choices that you make, of the words that you say, of the thoughts that you share, of the thoughts that even cross your mind. So I am very selective when it comes to consuming information. I am very cautious and very mindful of the time that I have, and I try to dedicate it to things that will enrich my mind, my soul, my body, my mental health in one way or another. I do not follow negative news. I do not watch horror movies, never have. I do not, watch any kind of a drama things. I'm not really someone who is into some kind of like detective stories when they're like finding serial killers or anything like that. I try consciously to stay away from things like that. There are some people that really enjoy it, it's the choice that you make, but I try to feed my eyes, I try to feed my brain with only the things that can enrich it in a good way, that can have a positive impact on my mind, on the way I see the world, in the way I feel this world. So this is something that you also have the right to do. Saying that TV is always in the background, there's always bad news. Well, you can always switch off the TV. You can always choose not to download a certain song, choose not to download a certain TV series, even if it's something super trendy and everyone is watching. I remember Hunger Games was something everyone was watching and everyone was on top of the topic. I never saw an episode of it. I never wanted to. Even maybe if I were not someone who could keep up with a conversation about that, I was fine with it, because this is not something that I want to see or feed myself with in terms of the information. So being aware in your thoughts and being aware in your words is an important part of being demure, because that comes with the responsibility to be more mindful. The next point in becoming more demure is listening more than you speak and listening actively. So listening more than you speak is not only important to being more demure, but it's more important to being more confident, or being more charismatic, or being more likable, because people love someone who listens to them and listens actively. You know how they say we have one mouth and two ears, and that's because we have to speak less and listen more. Well, maybe that's true. Maybe that's why God has only given us one mouth and two ears, that we listen more to each other. Listening more allows the person that you are having a conversation with to self-express. And when people feel like they've been heard, seen, noticed, they have so much more appreciation for you. And being demure comes with, this calm energy, this calm grace and poise that you allow the people to be heard and felt and noticed. When I talk about the second part, listening more actively, there is a part, to people that listen to you or pretend that they do, but they really don't. You can see it in their eyes. You can see it in their body language, that they are present. Perhaps they hear what you're saying, but they're not actually listening to what you're saying. Listening actively is when that action becomes intentional, and that's what demure is all about, is being intentional in your actions. So when you listen actively, when you show with your body language, with your eyes, with your soul and body and energy that you're present and you're actually hearing what they're saying, that obviously is so much more appreciated by the person in front of you, and obviously you're more liked. Your whole appearance just becomes more mindful, and this is something you can practice. This is something no one is really born with this talent. It's something that we learn to develop in ourselves, and I've actually done a video how to become a more active listener. You can check it out on my YouTube channel. The next point to becoming more demure, and I think in general also more charismatic, is being more private, especially being more private in the matters that are private. Whenever I feel like someone, that's a personal observation, maybe you don't feel the same way, but whenever I feel like someone is oversharing everything in their life, from the way that, they go to a doctor's appointment, from the way they are, with their respective others, from the way they, dealing with everyday mess at home, I'm someone who would rather not know all these things, and I would rather only see, some things, some skill that they're offering, maybe, some education that they're sharing, maybe some fashion tips that they're, sharing with us. So I appreciate education, I appreciate knowledge, and I appreciate sharing it and, educating others on the skill sets and the know-hows. But I really don't like feeling that I become involved, or I become someone who is watching someone's, life from private. And I think immediately, maybe it's the way I perceive things, but that person immediately becomes someone I cannot really look up to. Maybe it's the way the new world is working and functioning, and people love feeling relatable, and they love feeling like, they're included in the daily life of the other person. But I personally try to have this image of the person I look up to from afar. I like to observe them as, the talent that they are, the skill set that they are, the knowledge that they're sharing, without feeling they need to be intrusive in their lives. And I like when people respect and have those boundaries. And demure is really about drawing those boundaries and allowing yourself to have a public life versus your private life. It's about modesty. Modesty is not just about dressing a certain way, especially when, when we say modesty, all of a sudden, it's this stigma of how a woman should be dressed in order to be considered demure. She might be fully covered, but her actions and her behavior, or the way she, leads herself in public or private, might not be demure at all. So modesty is about being also selective of what you share with other people. Is the talks you're having with other people, is the online things that you share, is the thing that you are, opening to the world. So I understand that people sometimes feel the urge to share things so they can find their own community, and that's completely okay. But I think those choices, again, have to be mindful. What is the intention behind it? And I personally prefer when private things remain private, no matter how public of a person you are. This brings me to the next point, and that is learn to control your emotions. Do not let your emotions control you, especially when this is something that is happening in public. I have seen scenes when people would, show these tantrums, throw these arguments in public. And to them it made sense. It was a heat, it was an emotion that took over them and, brought up this part of them that probably they might have never even seen themselves. And then when the emotions probably, went away and they calmed down, if they were to look at themselves from the side, it would have never made a good impression. Controlling your emotions does not necessarily mean denying them. I am not someone who is advocating for denying emotions. You have to feel what you're feeling and allow yourself to feel those emotions. But learning to control them, especially when you're in public, once you have, it's like the words that you've spoken once. If you have said something, in person, if the words have escaped your mouth, there's no way they're coming back. So keeping in charge of your words and keeping in charge of your emotions, especially in public, is very important for your overall demeanor and for your overall presence around other people. Again, this can be something that is super controversial for some people that say, be who you are, just be yourself. Why do you have to be someone that you're not? And my attitude or my general observation in life is that we are social beings. We live and share spaces with other people. Being yourself, like you're out and about in nature, might not be something that is right for people around you. If you're not creating any damage or harm to yourself or others, then it's okay. But if being who you are can in a way potentially damage, hurt people around you and even yourself, I think that's something that you need to learn to control. So that's my general attitude in life. Being yourself doesn't mean allowing yourself to be sloppy, to be aggressive, to throw a tantrum, because that's who you are. You have to learn to control your emotions, especially when you're out and about, because perhaps someone, a passerby, a child, might see this tantrum or see this aggression, and it can potentially negatively influence them. I'm saying this because I have been a witness of cases where children observe fight that would happen between two drunk men, or there was this summer resort that an argument was thrown between a wife and a husband, and there were children around. So in the moment I understood they were being themselves, but I wouldn't appreciate my children and everyone around, all the children as well, or other people, to really witness that they could carry this argument into their room and have this whatever fight they wanted to have in the room. So in the spur of a moment, of course, emotions took over, but I think it's important for us as human beings to learn to control the emotions, not deny them, but take control over them and know when we can display them and when it's best to save them for the later time. And the final point to becoming more demure is saving your energy so that you can exude this calm energy. I think energy is something that we underestimate, or we don't really talk about when we're talking about a certain presence or certain aura that we have around other people, and that's primarily energy, is how we are feeling inside, that's being translated and almost like transcribed in the minds of other people. It's felt by them, and then it gets translated into their mind as being calm, being graceful, being elegant, being charismatic. So in order to be able to have this calm and poised and graceful energy, you have to learn to save your energy for things that need your energy, that need your attention. On a daily basis, we're surrounded by all kinds of people. Some people fill us up, others drain us. Unfortunately, there are cases when those that drain us end up being our immediate family members that we can't get rid of or stop talking to. But we have to find ways to recuperate. We have to find ways to bring that energy back, either through self-care activities. For each, it's their own. I have done a video on my self-care habits. Also could be doing something that you truly love, a hobby of yours that can fill you up with an energy that can bring you down. If someone has stirred it up inside of you, do things that can potentially bring it down, that can fill you up. And I often say that saving your energy is important, because not everything deserves, or not everyone deserves your energy. If you think of energy as a currency, you'll be very mindful of it. I always say that not everything has to be argued about, not everyone deserves a closure, not everything deserves to be said, not everyone deserves to be confronted. It's only the people that matter, or it's only the relationships that matter, or it's only the the issue that has to be argued about, that matters, has to be spoken out. People tend to look for closures, or they want communication about everything, but sometimes they don't deserve it. So in order for you to understand that your energy is more important than whatever this confrontation will bring you, you will make the right choice. So saving your energy is important, because that will also help you to have this calm energy inside when you don't feel like you need to always be on edge and try to fight with people around you. It will bring your fight and flight mode down, and you'll be able to have this calming presence, which is what demure is all about. Thank you so much for watching this video until the very end. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and let me know down in the comment section below what were some of the most interesting ways for you, and perhaps you have your own suggestions of how to be more demure. And of course, your video suggestions are always welcomed on my channel. I always love taking notes on those. If you're still with me and you want to learn more about etiquette, you can join my 2 pre-recorded online courses, The Art of Entertaining at Home and The Western Formal Dining Etiquette from A to Z. Both are available on my website. You can also join my Patreon Etiquette Movie Club, where every month I do a video analysis from an etiquette standpoint of view of different kind of video of movies. So far I've done, I think, more than 40 movie analysis. Some of your classical favorite movies are analyzed as well, and this is a unique content that's only shared with my Patreons on my Patreon Etiquette Movie Club. And if you're still with me on this video, I would like to show you the outfit for today's video. I've opted for this really classy, very comfy linen dress that is from a brand called Just Nature. I like how it's accentuating my waist. It's really good for my body frame, and I like that it's long so I can wear it as an evening dress as well as during the daytime in summer. And I have paired them with these black Chanel sling bags that are super comfortable. I wear them for work and I also wear them for cocktail parties. They're very versatile and super comfortable. Thank you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!